Hey, so I wanted to talk about the idea of lying versus being delusional, because a lot of times we say that narcs are liars, but I'm wondering if this is not the case. So, for me as a codependent, I was a liar because I was people pleasing to the point where I had to lie in order to people please when other people's needs were in conflict with my needs, and I was unable to set any boundaries, which is to say, this is what I want to do. And the lying was conscious for me. Like, I knew what I wanted. For example, I don't want to go to the movies, but my friends want to go, so I would say, okay, I'll come with you. And I knew that I was saying something that was different than how I actually felt. So I had awareness of it, and I resented myself for doing this so much. And I would like watch myself do it, being like, oh, this is so awful. But I didn't feel like I was allowed to tell the truth. Like, this was just beaten into me so young. You have to do what everyone else wants, that I was just working in autopilot, doing this people pleasing thing, and like knowing I was doing it, but there was just this extraordinary fear that prevented me from just saying the truth. And it's a coping mechanism of self-protection and the fear of the narcissistic rage if you don't do what they want. So obviously it was valid at one time. But this people-pleasing behavior can be easily corrected if the person doing it just, decides to stop, which began with me realizing that I could stop, I was allowed to stop. There were people out there who would care how I felt and wouldn't respond with narcissistic rage. So the awareness of boundaries and that I'm allowed to have boundaries enabled me to stop the lying behavior very easily. I just had to start saying how I felt because I had awareness of lying. Versus being delusional, I think of this quote from Seinfeld where George said, "It's not a lie if you believe in it," which makes me question the whole thing of whether narcs are actually liars, because if they truly believe what they're telling you, then I don't know if it's a lie. And I used to think to myself, like, just stop lying. Like, that was all I wanted. Like, just stop lying to me. Like, it's one thing to abuse me, and obviously we don't want that, but to abuse me and tell me that you're not abusing me was just absolute madness. So I just wanted so badly for narcissists in my life to just tell me that they hated me. Like, that would actually feel good. It would feel like relief, because finally my reality would be lining up with how they were treating me. But obviously narcs refuse to do that. But if they are truly delusional and they truly believe what they are telling you, then screaming at them, just stop lying, doesn't do anything, because they may not actually be lying. Because lying, to me, it's just my opinion, implies an awareness of the behavior, that what you're doing is saying something that is false, and you're saying something that is in contradiction with either an objective truth or your own personal opinion about something. So if they truly believe what they're telling you, then they're not actually lying. They're completely delusional, in which case there's nothing they can do to change the behavior without changing their perception of reality. And that's why there's really no cure for narcissism that I know of, because it would require an overhaul of their perception of reality, and that perception is based on fragmentation of their psyche, basically from like really early trauma. So this is why they can't just stop being a narcissist. There's no like quick fix for that, whereas I think if someone's a liar, there is a quick fix. They can just stop lying. It's just their choice to stop doing that. But the narcissistic behavior patterns, like the blame shifting, projection, scapegoating, all of that. I think it all so deeply rooted in this trauma that causes delusion that they actually can't just stop. Like, we wish that they could, but this is why the relationship can't be helped, is I don't think they have the conscious awareness to even be able to change these behaviors because of their delusion. And I guess the exception would be people like Sam Vaknin, who are narcissists but are aware that they're narcissists. So the awareness is there, but then the sense of morality is not there, or the like the soul or the love or the divinity or whatever it is that gives people the desire for love is like blocked from them, so they're actually not able to stop the behavior. So I think in most narcissists, they're not aware of it. I think it's more of an exception for them to have that awareness. But then it seems that even when they have the awareness of being a narcissist, I think they're still delusional, because they're still lacking that connection to divinity, which is a connection to truth. So they're still living in this backwards world of supply, and they're not understanding like the rights of other people to like not be abused the way that they're abusing them. So I think even the narcs that have some self-awareness are still delusional as to the actual reality of like what humans are and what they are, because they fully they don't fully understand themselves. If they cannot acknowledge that like what they're doing is wrong and feel bad about it, then they're missing some aspect of themselves. They don't have full awareness of their whole self, which would include their conscious or their conscience of right and wrong, and feeling guilty and remorse for hurting people. So that's my thoughts on lying versus being delusional, and thanks for watching.